Yeah, I think this is important to emphasize, because when people look at, say, Tesla and SpaceX now, and they sort of think, well, maybe they were always in a healthy position. But no, from the beginning, we were in really dire straits. No one would take us seriously, neither the rocket company or the car company. They just thought, well, he's sort of an eccentric rich guy and he's going to lose all his money. And they told me that several times. I mean, the most common joke I heard was, how do you make a small fortune in the car business or the rocket business? And the punchline is you start with a large one. So it's like, I'd heard that joke so many times. So on the Sunday before Christmas in 2008, waking up on the Sunday morning thinking, I never thought I was someone who was capable of having a nervous breakdown, but this is about as close as I've ever come. Because things were really so dire. As you alluded to earlier that year, after the first 3 rockets had failed of our Falcon 1 vehicle, and I'd only really allowed for enough money for 3 flights, so we had to desperately try to scrape together enough money for a 4th flight. And then with Tesla, the financing round fell apart in the summer of 2008 because the whole financial markets were crashing and GM and Chrysler were going bankrupt, and try to raise money for a startup car company that's making electric cars to boot, that sounded like stupidity squared. Investors would be angry that we even asked them. They would be angry about that. And in fact, the only way we were able to raise money to keep Tesla going was that most of the existing investors agreed to fund the company, and I put all of the money that I had remaining into Tesla. So it still wasn't. It was amounted to about, in total, about $40 million, 20 of which came from me, and I was tapped out. Had to borrow money for rent after that, and that tided us over into for about 6 months to May of 2009 when Daimler invested in Tesla, and that Daimler investment was really fundamental to the survival of Tesla. In fact, a lot of people think like somehow the government bailed us out or anything. That is actually not true. It was the Daimler investment that saved Tesla, not government funding. The first money we got from the government ever was in March of 2010, and that was after the crisis had passed. So if you look at Tesla and SpaceX and SolarCity, they got no government money at all in the first sort of half decade of their existence. Nothing. Government wasn't doing anything. And then I'll go through each one. In the case of Tesla, as I mentioned, the first government money we got was March of 2010, 7 years after the company was started. And that money was specifically for Model S development and for powertrain factory development. So we got $465 million, 365 of which was for the Model S, 100 for powertrain factory that could supply powertrains to other companies. But that was only paid, like we'd have to spend the money, show the receipts, get it ordered by Pricewaterhouse, and then be reimbursed a few months later. That didn't help us with the Roadster business, it didn't help us with anything else, and it only paid for a small portion of what Tesla needed. The money that Tesla needed and has spent has by far been generated in the private sector.